Harvard will inbound on its side of midcourt. Now Drew Zhang just bounces it out. Lee let him go, and Harvard escapes with a victory. Saw a 19-point lead nearly wither away to nothing, but the Crimson escape with a 4-point win to close out their non-conference part of the schedule at 11-4.
And that final score, 77-73, that's the kind of score I personally expected today with a great defense against a great balanced offense that Harvard has.
My name is Imry Halevi. I'm Assistant Athletic Director at Harvard University for Multimedia and Production. During game days, I start my day usually 3 or 4 hours before crew call, before the rest of the crew arrives. I turn on our control room. I make sure that each piece of equipment can turn on, works properly, and is performing the way I expect it to perform. And then I start going equipment by equipment and setting it up for the game. I start with our router. That's the piece of equipment that connects all our incoming and outgoing video signals. And I make sure that everything is routed properly, that each of our destinations is getting the video signal it needs, TVs on the wall, monitors for other people in the room. Destinations outside our control room, like our broadcast partners, NES and ESPN, they each need to have the video signal that they expect, so I make sure the router does that. After that, I start setting up our video switcher. That's a device that controls what people see at home and allows the switcher operator or a technical director to switch between different camera inputs, to overlay scorebug and graphics, to play videos, commercial breaks. Everything that people see goes to the switcher. So I make sure that the switcher is set up properly for the event that we have coming up.
My name is Patrick Watkins, and today I'll be doing video switching.
Ready, and 1, 2, stay with him, do not follow the ball.
I'll be listening to the director, so he'll call shots, fading on graphics, going in and out of break. Basically whatever the director tells me to do.
Sideline reporter in preview.
Most challenging part of video switching, kind of staying focused. Like sometimes he'll say ready 1, or if the game gets kind of crazy and we're jumping to different shots, making sure you just pay attention and do what he says. Because sometimes you might cut a camera accidentally and could get kind of a little chaotic sometimes. So just staying focused and doing your job.
12 in a row.
It's always different. Every game's never the same, really. So it's fun. It's more enjoyable than sitting at a desk, I guess, and doing basic things like that.
Next, I set up our replay system. We have an 8-in, 2-out replay system. So we have 8 inputs coming into the replay system, 2 out. Sometimes during our broadcast, we have more than 8 different cameras, and so I have to prioritize and decide which cameras get to go into the replay system and which not. I also set up any interstitials that we have. These are the video animations that you sometimes see rolling before a replay package or after a replay package. I make sure those are loaded properly and are branded properly. I also make sure that any pre-produced packages that we have, any establishing content, all of those are loaded into the replay system. Send me visiting coach graphic and preview. Camera 2, get me visiting huddle.
My name's Adam, and today I'm working replay. So in-game responsibilities for replay, obviously the in-game replays, anytime there's a whistle, fouls, things like that, commentators want to see it, fans want to see it on the video board, and I'm also responsible for highlights packages for first half highlights, as well as end of game highlights that we put on YouTube.
Find a way to solve this to your liking.
Work in replay, there's a lot of different challenges. I think the main challenge is there's a lot of multitasking, where I'm working the in-game highlights for first half and end of game. Anytime there's a whistle, the director needs to see a replay, so we need to stop what I'm doing, find the replay, so the fans can see it.
The most challenging part of game day, especially pre-game, is making sure that we don't forget anything. We have a lot of different people providing us with a lot of different content, and they all care very much about their content, as they should. Our marketing team provides content for in-game graphics, any promotions that they're doing. Our sponsorship team provides sponsor videos, sponsor content. Our commentators provide us with a lot of graphics ideas for in-game stuff. So there's a lot of content that we need to play. The Ivy League provides us with content, sponsorship content that we need to play. ESPN provides us with content in a specific way we need to display graphics, and as well as NESN, specific ways we need to display their graphics. So there are a lot of different elements, and there are a lot of things that can fall through the cracks. And so that's my biggest concern pre-game, is making sure that we have a long list of every commitment that we've made and every requirement that we have, and then making sure that we adhere to those before the game even begins. This has nothing to do with actually following the game, it's just the framework around it.
My name is Weichel. I'm working Graphics 1 today. And so as Graphics 1, I'm in charge of the video board graphics and keeping up to date for the stats. I think the most difficult part of working Graphics 1 is keeping focus on what needs to be ready next and keeping up with the game stats. It's really easy to lose focus with Graphics 1.
My name is Emma. Today I'm working Graphics 2, and our responsibilities in the Graphics 2 position are to run the TV graphics. So I basically just make sure that all the graphics appear at the right times and the right graphics show up with the right information. The most difficult part is getting the timing right, especially in the opening sequence, and also just making sure that I'm paying attention so I get the correct stats and the correct information up at the right times.
One thing that I always try to keep in my mind, something that a lot of directors and producers that I know, people who do this professionally and do this in professional leagues, have told me and emphasized, is that the game comes first. I know that a lot of directors like to showcase all the little features they can do, all the interstitials, all the packages, all the graphics that were pre-produced. There's a lot that you can throw at a game, but really people don't tune in to a sports broadcast to see all the other elements. They tune in to see the game, and if the other elements you showcase detract from the game experience because you missed tip-off, because you missed a rebound, because you missed something that was going on the court while you were busy doing something else, while you were busy showing a package or showing a graphic, then you're not doing your job properly. It's really all about the game, and if you have time, and if you have the resources, that's great to do other things. But at its core, if you show what's going on the court and have a graphic that shows the score and the clock, you're good. You've done 95% of your job. The rest is just extra, and you need to keep in mind that proportion.
So let's put this over here.
So camera 1 is kind of the wide shot of the game where I'm panning left and right, just getting the overall view of the game, kind of the main camera that shows everything that's going on. So I think the most difficult part of being the wide angle camera is just making sure you don't miss anything. You're kind of the main camera, so all the big moments, anything that happens, you have to catch. So being camera 1, if you miss something, everyone kind of misses it unless they're able to cut to a different camera quick enough, but if not, you're kind of at fault for missing an important play should you do that.
Yeah, so working on camera 2, it's pretty simple. You know, if you want to describe it in a basic way, you just kind of follow the game tightly. You want to make sure that whoever has the ball, you've got them in the shot. Obviously, you've got the ball in, and you have like their feet up to their head at least. You're usually trying to get the defender that's on them as well. You're just trying to follow that play as tightly as you can. Follow the ball as it moves around. When the player shoots it, you want to follow the ball to the basket. And if they make it, then you want to go back to the person who made the shot so you can get something to cut to live. If they don't make it, you want to be in the position to get a rebound so that you can use that for like a replay or something later on if necessary.
Working camera 3, I'm positioned on the sideline right underneath one of the baskets. So I follow the action during the game when it's close up to me, and also when the action is on the other side of the court. In between timeouts and breaks, I would occasionally have a sideline reporter who would come up to me, and I would do sideline hits with him. At the beginning of the game, we do an opening with the commentators where I would actually move over to camera 6 at half court to do the opening. And also at the halftime point of the game, I would also go and meet up with the commentators and do a segment with them as well. The most difficult part of my position is staying active. Staying active in that there tends to be a lot going on the court. Sometimes you have two different things happening at the same time. So the priority weighs obviously with where the ball is, where the stoppage is in play, but sometimes there might be something happening on the bench. So the challenge is not to try and capture what other cameras are not capturing, to have a complete story and a complete vision, a visual as to pertain to everything that's going on.
Two. That's this one right here. You know, I got into working like sports production because I just have been a huge sports fan my whole life. I've always been a fan of media and production in general, so you know, combining the two was just like a very easy move for me. There's nothing more fun to me than being able to go somewhere and just like cover a game, you know, spend time around the sport itself. It's one of my favorite things about working Harvard here is just like being able to be in the stadium during a game while it's happening. An exciting like overtime basketball game or a hockey game that's going down to the wire. The crowd's super into it. When you're out there just like amongst all the fans, there's like nothing more fun than that.
I happen to actually love covering basketball. That's why I'm always on the court. I prefer to do camera work because I feel like I'm immersed in the game more than actually sitting in the control room doing the production side of things over there.
Welcome back to Levites Pavilion. Harvard up 12-2. Harvard has been plagued by injuries all season long, and with the news of Seth Towne.
So as a sideline reporter during the games, I monitor what's going on in the game. I keep track of who's scoring, who's leading their team on the floor. I make sure that I get to the locker rooms to set up for a halftime interview with each coach so that coming out of halftime, the first commercial break, I'm able to give the guys a report from the sideline on what the coaches said, what they liked from their team in the first half and what they didn't like. And then moving forward in the second half, again, keep tabs on players, who's leading their team on the floor, try and grab a player for a player of the game interview after the game, and then wrap things up with a broadcast.
From Levites Pavilion on the campus of Harvard University, this is the Ivy League on ESPN. A bit damp outside, but dry inside in Cambridge, Massachusetts, as we get ready for a cross-country battle between the UC Irvine Anteaters and the Harvard Crimson.
So before every broadcast, I take usually a couple hours per team, get to know all the players, who's playing well, who's not playing well, who's expected to really contribute, what their histories are, get to know the teams really well so we can really tell the story of each team and what the expectation of the game is going to be, and be prepared for stories that might be developed during the game. And then obviously during the game, it's telling that story as it happens live on the floor, the court, whatever it might be. My favorite part of it is talking about the game and all the different stories that can happen, all the different events that can happen within the game. Some games there's not really a whole lot going on, but even within that, just finding different things to talk about, and the 5-minute story within a 40-minute basketball game or within a 60-minute whatever game it might be. There's always something interesting to talk about, and it's not just who wins or loses the game.
I really expect with 2 weeks off before 2 games against Dartmouth for Harvard to start their Ivy League schedule with a couple of wins.
One of the great things about our productions is that everyone on the crew is a student or recent graduate from a local college. We don't have professional freelancers. We don't have people who've done this for 10, 15, 20 years. Everyone on the team is someone who's passionate about production or broadcasting or sports or a combination. And they're here because they want to learn. They're here because they want to make a difference. It's our role as full-time directors or full-time employees of the university to teach them how to do that, to teach them what the buttons do, to teach them how to operate all the gear. And they really get to run with it and be creative and show their passion. And so that's really something that we take pride in, the fact that we're here to teach, we're an educational institution, and we've seen a lot of people grow in their role here since they started with us.